I stayed silent for 20 years to protect my sister from a truth. I've been called the strong one since I was 14. The one who didn't cry at funerals, didn't need therapy, held everyone else together. So when I told my little sister Claire that her fiancé gave me a bad feeling, everyone assumed I was just being difficult for once. You've never liked anyone she's dated, my mom said at the engagement dinner, refilling wine glasses. Why is Daniel different? I didn't have an answer that wouldn't blow up my life, so I gave her nothing instead. I gave her small things. I mentioned casually that Daniel checked Claire's phone at dinner once, scrolling through it while she was in the bathroom. A month later, I brought up how he'd actually laughed when she said she wanted the promotion, not just the wedding. Then, at her bridal shower, my Aunt Deb pulled me aside and said quietly, "Does he seem controlling to you, or is it just me?" I told her it wasn't just her. Neither of us said anything else. By the time the wedding planning started, I'd become the difficult sister, the one who couldn't just be happy. Claire stopped inviting me to cake tastings. I told myself I'd let it go. I told myself 20 years was long enough to bury something. 3 weeks before the wedding, the coordinator asked every family member to submit old photos for the welcome slideshow. The more embarrassing, the better. Linda, Daniel's mother, texted me directly, delighted, asking if I had anything good from Daniel's teenage years, since apparently you two grew up in the same town. I said I'd look. I never sent her anything. I told myself the photos were probably lost anyway. The night before the wedding, at the rehearsal dinner, Linda showed up with a shoebox she'd found in her attic, instead old yearbooks, printed photos, things nobody had asked for. She was 3 glasses of champagne into nostalgia when she held one up, laughing. "Oh my god, is that you?" 17 years old, my arm around a boy I hadn't let myself think about in 2 decades. The table went quiet. Claire looked at the photo, then at me, then at Daniel, whose face had gone the color of the tablecloth. "You knew him," Claire said slowly, "this whole time, and you just kept telling me not to marry him." I could see exactly what she was building in her head, the bitter ex, still hung up, sabotaging her sister's happiness. If I were her, I'd have believed it too. I hadn't planned to say it that night. I'd planned to take it with me. But Claire was already unclasping the sapphire bracelet. His grandmother's ready to hand it back over a coincidence. And I couldn't let her walk into tomorrow with a wrong story. "He didn't just break up with me," I said. "Junior year. He told the entire school I'd slept with half the football team." None of it was true. I didn't leave my room for 2 weeks. I looked at my mother. "You thought I had the flu." I didn't have the flu. I took a bottle of Tylenol that April. Not enough to do real damage. Enough that I scared myself and never told you, because you and Dad were already falling apart that year. And I decided you didn't need one more thing to carry. My mother's wine glass didn't move. Why didn't you tell me later? When you were older? I tried once, I said. Sophomore year of college. You said something about how kids today call everything a crisis. And you didn't mean me, but I heard it as me. So I stopped trying. Daniel started talking about being a different person. About kids doing cruel things. Claire wasn't looking at him anymore. She set the bracelet on the table between the dessert plates and asked everyone to go home. There was no dramatic scene at an altar the next day. Just $200 in non-refundable centerpieces and confused relatives driving home early. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. 4 days later, Claire called me, her voice strange. A woman named Priya had messaged her out of nowhere, found through a mutual wedding hashtag. She dated Daniel 2 years before Claire. Different city, same story, almost word for word the grandmother's bracelet, the sudden proposal after 8 months, the slow erosion of her friendships, the night he checked her phone and called it love. Priya said she'd seen the engagement announcement and couldn't stay silent, even as a stranger. She sent screenshots, Claire said. He gave her the same speech he gave me. The exact same lines, Rachel, word for word. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt sick for Priya, for Claire, for whoever might have come after if the photo hadn't surfaced when it did. Claire didn't talk to me for almost a month after that. When she finally called, she didn't say thank you. She asked why I never told Mom what happened that April. I didn't want to be the girl that happened to, I said. "You're not," she said. "You're the sister who finally said something before it happened to me the same way." She's engaged again now, to someone slower, someone she's watched for 2 years before saying yes. She asked me to be maid of honor again. This time when I have something to say, I say it the same day I think it, and so does my mother, who now asks me every single year on the anniversary of that April if I'm really okay, and waits for the real answer.